Welcome back to Experience Distilled. Again, as always, we've got John Little here. We have partnered up to help distillers face the headwinds that are affecting our industry today. Today, we're going to talk about efficiency and scrap. All of those things, that's money down the drain, money in the garbage. We gotta use those to hopefully decrease our cost of good and increase our overall profitability. So first, John, let's talk about grain conversion. If I'm getting 2 proof gallons per bushel on a bushel of corn, and I want to get to gallons or 4 proof gallons of alcohol from the same bushel of corn, that's double my output at the same fixed cost. What are some of the things you see that people do to try to increase their conversion rate on grain?
Uh, well, one of the things you have to do is to make sure you have good quality grain. What is your how are you milling your grain, right? What is your screen size? What kind of mill are you using? Your roller mill or a hammer mill? And so are you getting the the grist at the right size so that you can attack that with obviously with heat and with enzymes, enzymatic activity. So if you're getting 2 PGs per bushel, you're throwing a lot of money down the drain, right? We would really love to see that number up around five. Certainly for a craft distiller, I think a large operation would expect five. Certainly out of corn, you would expect 5 PGs per bushel. I mean, you know very well, Donald, from your days of whiskey systems tracking, where you can really track what your PG is per bushel, and we track that pretty carefully. Are you using enzymes to help with your conversion? What are you doing to help with your conversion? And what are your hold times? Right, it's time and temperature under the curve. What are your hold times on your grain? Are you getting enough? Are you wasting that time? I mean, I guess that would be an efficiency issue, is more maybe than an extraction issue. But what are your hold times on there? What are your grain sizes? Are you using enzymes or not to help with that conversion? And then secondly, right, that only gets you to the point of to your from mashing into fermentation. Are your yeast consuming all of the available sugars in there, right? Are you having a healthy fermentation in that process? And then when you get to the still, certainly, are you driving that still hard enough? Are you getting all of the, if you're in a pot still, the heads, hearts, and tails cuts? Are you getting low enough down into the run to consume all of the available alcohol? And are you successfully pulling out the heads and the tails and putting those back into subsequent runs so that you can pull some of those out? If you're using a column still, how hard are you driving that column still? What is your base loss, right? What is the loss of the stillage going out of the bottom of the still and going to your thick and thin strainer, to your stillage tanks? And so you've got to have, what's your favorite line, Donald, about improvement?
That's right. You can only improve the things you measure, right?
You can only
Well,
improve the things you measure. So, you got to understand it all the way from grain weights all the way up until the product goes into the stillage. You got to measure those along the way so you get a good understanding of how to extract those things out of there. Where is it in mashing? Is it in fermentation? Is it in distillation? Or is it in the grain before it comes in?
that's right, absolutely. I talk to distillers all the time. They say, you know what? There's nothing I can do to increase the amount of alcohol I get from each bushel of grain. And I challenge them 100%. You absolutely have things under your control. Just like you talked about. Are you using a hammer mill? Are you using a roller mill, right? How fine is your mill? Is your grist? What temperature, enzymes, all those things you mentioned, all the way down to cooking. Are you controlling your fermentation? Are you making sure there's no
Yep,
stalled fermentation? Are you bringing in a control system that doesn't have to be that expensive to make sure that it doesn't get over a certain temperature? There are so many things that distillers can do these days to help maximize your grain conversion. Because if you can double your output with the same base cost, that increase your profitability. All right, another
absolutely.
examples of efficiency and scrap. Let's talk about bottling loss, right? Every distiller should have a checklist on their bottling thing, and what are they looking for when they're doing their bottling runs?
So, how many labels, corks, capsules, bottles, hopefully not a bottle, right? How many of those are you losing, breaking, whatever that is in the bottling run? And are you keeping track of that? Here's a real simple thing. When we first started ordering labels, the printing company would print the labels all the way to the edge of the paper. And the first thing we would have to do would be peel 4 or 5 labels off of that, right? And before we put those on the label applicator, whether that was a little tiny machine or as the time got on, it went to a much bigger machine. And so you try to apply those by hand, but they're not as good. And so what happens is you end up tossing 4 or 5 of them into the trash or you, whatever. So a simple thing you could do is ask your label preventer to provide you with a big lead, give you a long lead at the beginning of the run so that you can feed that label through the label application device and yet you start with 0 labels lost. Right. So there are simple things that you can do on that. If you have a machine that is constantly eating up labels and waste labels, are you changing the machine? What's the cost of a new machine over there, right? What's the cost of changing the way you do things? But you have to know where that loss is coming from. So at the end of every day, you need to have the people in the bottling room record anything that is lost, any waste that happens along the line, so you really know what's going on. Is it happening when your capsule is being placed on the bottle? Is the heat gun too hot, whether that's a hand application or a machine? Is that burning holes through it? So again, if you don't measure it, you can't improve it. And so you really need to keep track of all those things. But there's lots of little ways to drastically reduce your costs in every part of your production, certainly in the bottling line.
Yep, yep. I mean, you design really nice corks. You design really nice labels. Labels could be 50 cents each. Corks could be 50 cents each. And to walk into a bottling line and just see corks and closures and custom tamper evidence seals and labels on the ground, every single one of them, those are dollars going down the drain. So I think the last part of efficiency is scrap is that continuous improvement loop, right? Look at your checklist, look at your logs, look at your distillery management system and figure out what can you improve and then set yourself goals. Improve your alcohol proof gallon output for your grain conversion, decrease your packaging and dry goods scrap out of your bottling. And if you make the efforts company-wide to try to improve efficiencies and decrease scrap, I think you're going to see that hit the bottom line and everyone's going to have a more continuous improvement mindset.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. That is our third episode, and stay tuned for the next time, and we'll continue to help those distillers out. Thanks so much.